Hello, my pre-calculus student. In this video, we are going to solve system of linear equation using augmented matrix. Let's begin with the following system of linear equation. X minus y plus z equals 0. Negative x plus 2y minus 3z equals negative 5. 2x minus 3y plus 5z equals 8. The first step we have to do is that we have to write the given system 3 equation and 3 unknown into the augmented matrix. So what makes an augmented matrix is only made up of the coefficient, the number in front of x, y, z, and the constant on the right hand side of the equal sign. So on the first equation we have 1, negative 1, 1. So 1, negative 1, 1, and then on the right hand side be 0. We draw the line between the variable and the constant. This line represents the equal sign on the equation. Now let's move on to the equation 2. We have negative 1, 2, negative 3, negative 5. So you can see over here negative 1, 2, negative 3, negative 5. Move on to equation 3. We have 2, negative 3, 5, 8. 2, negative 3, 5, 8. Now before we move on, I have to review how to locate a number in a matrix. When we want to talk about the location of one number in a matrix, let's say this number, we have to give the row first before the column. So this number is in row 1, column 1. So I make example right here. If I talk about row 1, column 1, that will be the number 1 here. Now if I look at this number z0, so that will be in row 1, column 4. So make sure you know. So make sure when we mention about the location of a number, we are going to mention the row first and then the column number. Okay, so let's move on next. What is the goal here? So after we write the system of linear equation into the augmented matrix, our goal is that we have to apply the row operation to obtain a reduced row echelon form. So what does it look like? It will look like this. So it means that you will see only 1 and 0 on the left hand side of the line, and on the right hand side you will see real numbers. So if you just pay attention on the left hand side, if you have noticed that 1 only stay on the main diagonal. So what do I mean the main diagonal? It means, let's start with the first number 1. It's in row 1, column 1. The next number 1 is in row 2, column 2. The next number 1 is in row 3, column 3. So therefore your solutions of this system will be x equals a, y equals b, and z equals c. Now where a, b, c, there are real numbers. So that will be the goal. So what we are going to do is that we have to start with our augmented matrix, and we are going to do our row operation, our math, and then at the end we should end up with the row echelon form, and then we will see our answer right away. So let's write out the plan. Okay, so the plan now, we need to get 1 on row 1, column 1. So we need to make this become a 1. Of course it is 1 now. And then we need to cube the rest of the column 1. So when I say cube the rest of the column 1, it means we need to make them become 0. So if you can see how we do it here, so we do get 1 for row 1, column 1. I put a check. Now I need to cube the rest of column 1. So to get the rest of column 1 to become a 0, I will base on my row 1. So let's start with row number 2. So if you can see right here that row 1 and row 2, if I add them up and put them in row 2, I will get a 0 right here. So what I did is that I make a note for you. We take row 1 plus row 2 and put it in the new row 2. So row 1 plus row 2, put them in the new row 2. So 1 plus negative 1 will be equal 0. And you do the rest for the rest of your 3 column here. So you do negative 1 plus 2 will be 1. 1 plus negative 3 will be negative 2. 0 plus negative 5 will be negative 5. Next, we want to guess the row 3 column 1, which is this number 2, have to become a 0, because the goal is that we want to kill the rest of column 1, which is this is column number 1. So to get the 0, again, we're based on row 1. So what we're doing right here, that this is 1, this is 2. So I need to make this number 1 become negative 2. So we make a note right here. We do 2 times row 1 plus row 3. So 2 times 1, negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, plus 2 will be 0. So I put the negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 1 is 2. 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. And then you have right here will be 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 5 will give you 3. And then negative 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus a is 8. So now we're done with column 1. Now we'll move on to our next step. Our next step, we need to get 1 on column 2, row 2. So I'm going to look at, the next step we want to get 1 on row 2, column 2. So let's go row 2, column 2, so we get a 1. So this is done. So I'm going to go ahead and put a check. So we're done with this step. Now we need to kill the rest of column number 2. So the rest of column 2, so we need to get a 0 here and a 0 here. So how can we get that? So let's start with the negative 1, which is row 1, column 2. So to get it become a 0, I will take row 2 plus row 1. So think about here, 1 plus negative 1, you have to make based on your row 2. So we'll say right here, I'll do row 2 plus row 1. That will be the new row 1. Okay. So it means, so therefore, I'm going to go ahead and say right here, 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus negative 1 is 0. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. And then I have the line to represent the equal. And then we have negative 5 plus 0 is negative 5. So now we have the new row 1, and I'm just copying my row 2 again. So it'll be 0, 1, negative 2, negative 5. Next, we want to take care this number right here, which is in row 3, column 2. We want it to become a 0. So what we're going to do is that we will take row 2 plus row 3. So put it here, row 2 plus row 3. That will be the new row 3. So we have right here 0 plus 0 is 0. 1 plus negative 1 is 0. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. Negative 5 plus 8 is 3. Okay, so now we take care column 2. I put a check. So now we kill the rest of column 2, right? So we kill the rest of column 2 except row 2, column 2 is 1. So let's move on to the next one. Now we want to get 1 on row 3, column 3. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. So we do get 1. So it's only go here. We do get 1 on row 3 and column 3. So I'll put a check. Now we need to kill the rest of column 3. So we need to make sure that the rest have to be equal 0. So let's start with this number, which is row 1, column 3. And we have to base on row 3. So here we're going to do row 3 plus row 1 and put it in a new row 1. Why we do row 3 plus row 1? Because you see 1 plus negative 1 will give you a 0. So let's write down the new row 1 now. So I'm going to go ahead and put a line to represent the equal. So my new row 1 will be 0 plus 1 is 1. 0 plus 0 is 0. 1 plus negative 1 is 0. 3 plus negative 5 is negative 2. So now we're done with row 1, column 3. So we have this is number 0. So now we move on to this number. Now we want it to become a 0. So to make this number become a 0, we have to take 2 times row 3. So you know that each time you move on to each row, you have to base on that row only. So if you have noticed that if I'm on row 1, I focus on row 1 and I can add, multiply and add to the row I want. If I am on row 2 and I just focus on row 2. Now I'm on row 3, so I will have 2 times row number 3. So 2 times row number 3. Why we times 2? Because this is 1. So 1 times 2 give us 2. Then we can add with the row 2. And that's with the new row 2. So therefore you can see right here, 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus negative 2 is 0. And 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus negative 5 is 1. Now the row 3 we don't have to do nothing, so I'm just copy the down. So we'll do 0, 0, 1, and 3. So now we go back and compare with the goal. So did we get to the goal? So this is the goal. The goal is that we want to write our augmented matrix into row echelon form, which is we only see 1 in our main diagonal and the rest be 0. On the right hand side of the line, we will see real numbers. And compare with what we end up here. Yes, so we got to our goal now. So therefore we can go ahead and write our solution. So therefore we say the solutions of the system of linear equation let's write it down. So we have x is negative 2, y is 1, and z is 3. This will be the conclusion for this video. Please write your own summary. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.